Hi, Yannick.
Hello, Yannis. How are you?
I'm good, and you?
Yeah, pretty good. Pretty good.
Thank you for this conversation about medical IoT. Can you please introduce yourself before we start?
Yes, sure. So my name is Yannick Chammings. I'm the president of Witekio, a company I created 18 years ago, and which is now for a few months now part of Avnet, providing integration solution and services around IoT to help our customers with the integration of IoT scenarios for their device.
Okay, let's jump to the first question. How can IoT be turned into a real opportunity for medical devices, and what are the benefits of IoT for the medical market?
Well, IoT is a growing market for medical, and there's many reasons for that. First, the infrastructure is there and ready. We have now for quite a few years cloud solution in place, connectivity solution, data processing solution, and all of this was initially impacting the consumer market a few years ago. But now we see more and more professional B2B markets that are adopting IoT too. And it's not only on industrial, it's not only on smart cities or smart factories, but it's also including medical. The access to a large volume of heterogeneous data provided across multiple medical devices, but also other sources can be used to create value. For example, you could imagine correlating data between medical diagnostic from various devices with lifestyle statistics around nutrition, pollution, climate. And by being able to combine all this information together, that could allow improving drastically how we handle healthcare or health crisis.
Okay, you said that the market is already ready, but what are the main challenges for the medical IoT sector, and how to mitigate these challenges?
Well, the medical sector obviously comes with very specific constraints and requirements. There's obviously topics around data confidentiality, around privacy. As an individual, your medical data are very private and very intimate information that you don't want to share with others. There are challenges related to security. Medical devices are dealing with life by definition. So, which means that in case there's hacking of a medical devices, the consequences can be dramatical. There are also challenges related to connectivity. With IoT comes lots of wireless connectivity, devices that are operating in standalone mode and where the connection to the cloud goes through a wireless connectivity. And this has to be considered in the context of a healthcare environment that is not necessarily prepared for that, where wireless waves, wireless connectivity could have an impact on the actual performance of devices. So to address all these different challenges, the right way that we've seen on our end is to have a system approach. You need to be able to combine both the understanding of the specific of the market challenges. What does it mean to deal with security? What does it mean to deal with wireless connectivity? What does it mean to deal with data confidentiality? And at the same time, the possibilities that are offered by the technologies today. So have a good understanding of all the technologies that are available on the market, how they cope with these different challenges, and how they can be combined together to solve these kind of issues. To do that, what we found is the best approach is to combine innovation, so UX design, business innovation, being able to think out of the box to figure out what kind of scenario could be implemented to leverage the value of IoT, but with a system architecture approach to ensure that whatever scenario are considered, the feasibility and the compliance with the restrictions is taken care of, and the identification of technologies that will allow implementing and making this kind of scenario and this kind of architecture real are well selected.
You talked about connectivity and also security intimacy. So how do connectivity and IoT scenarios fit with patient safety? and how to secure the software system of your medical IoT device.
So we will now get into maybe more technical specific points. What we're talking about here is the ability to combine technologies that exist today. So there are today lots of technologies available that has been developed over the past few years to address these kind of challenges with a proper security know-how. So to give some examples, these are not the only ones, but these are typical examples of technologies that are mature today and that can be combined in the right way to implement a complete security architecture or a complete safety and privacy of the data. You have technologies like provisioning mechanism. These are mechanisms that are used to deploy certified keys, so ways of identification in a secured way for a device as part of the manufacturing process. As soon as the device is manufactured, you already implement in the device the security by design using certified keys and using a provisioning mechanism. Another approach is the root of trust approach, which is to ensure that there is an end-to-end security from the device to the cloud and throughout the whole manufacturing process. So basically no leak, no breach in the process, in the methodologies of development, and in the way the device integrates into a cloud scenario, so that there's a complete chain of trust on the security. Actually, all of this is nothing new. This is what has been done by medical device manufacturers for many years, since there is a medical device which is manipulating data from a patient and which has the capability to transfer this data through a certain way of connectivity. But now what is new is the ability to extend this approach, these tools, these technologies, these methodologies into the connectivity and into the cloud, so that we can extend the access to this data in the cloud without compromising with the security. Other mechanisms that are available today and are made possible thanks to an IoT-based approach is over-the-air firmware update mechanism. So the capability to update from the cloud the firmware, the software of a device in a secured way. So these are solutions that implies having a full security chain, again, from the device to the cloud, that will allow implementing a new software into a device. Of course, this implies a very secured approach, because this could be a way to hack a device, to deploy a firmware that will create a security breach. So this has to be very secure, but as soon as it's taken as by design security, these are technologies that are available today. Taking it from an IoT angle again, one more aspect is the selection of the cloud technology. As I said before, as we talk about medical devices, device manufacturer has been dealing with security and dealing with all these aspects at the device level for many years. What is new in the concept of IoT is the fact that these devices are part of a cloud architecture. So to ensure that there is no security breach, the selection of the cloud technology is very important. And we should be looking at solutions that are either semi-public or private, that provide at least semi-public or private capabilities with security mechanism provided by design, again, by the cloud provider. So today, the leaders in cloud solution they all have this kind of solution. They are all providing, of course, public clouds that we all know about and that we might be using on a day-to-day basis as individual, as consumer, but they have derivation of these public clouds into semi-public or private implementation with the proper security mechanism. And last but not least, edge computing, which is the ability to implement some data processing at the device level and not just at the cloud level. Edge computing is a way to reinforce security, because it allows actually implementing some data processing mechanisms, some scenarios of analysis of data at the device level without having to move this data into the cloud and without having to take risk of security breach. So these are all technologies, mechanisms, methodologies which are today mature, which are used across multiple markets, not only B2C, but B2B markets, and which can be used today for the medical market, as long as these technologies or these mechanisms are articulated the right way and integrated the right way for a good system architecture.
So if I want to do business, what are the next opportunities for medical IoT devices according to you, and how can artificial intelligence be an opportunity for smart medical device?
Well, I would say first, as I mentioned in the first part of the question, in terms of opportunities, IoT really brings this capability to cross-nurture data between what medical device can provide, and not only one medical device or one type of medical device like an ECG or an EEG or a patient monitoring device, but across all these kind of medical devices together to put together all these data about a patient and be able to build new diagnostic based on sharing data across multiple devices. On top of this cross-nurturing between medical devices themselves, there is the opportunity to cross-nurture the data with other type of data, statistic information about, as I mentioned earlier, about the climate, about the pollution, about the nutrition in a specific area or for a specific type of population, for a certain age or for a certain culture. And this, the IoT is the foundation that allows putting together all these data so that new analysis, new scenario of understanding can be put in place to identify maybe new diagnostic or new, root causes of certain health challenges or health issues. This is IoT. This is what IoT can bring, and this is already a big step ahead in terms of value creation and in terms of innovation. As we move into AI, that's another step ahead. IoT is just about putting together all this data and cross-nurturing them to figure out new information. As you move into AI, you can actually increase the power of analysis and the power of identification of root cause or of diagnostic from this data. However, AI comes also with an increased level of challenge, because with AI, basically, it's not anymore relying on human analysis or human algorithm of analysis. You are relying on computer processed analysis of the data. So you have a bigger challenge, which might and bigger risk in case of a loss of control. This means that without the proper architecture, without the proper security mechanism, as you put AI into a medical IoT scenario, not only if you have a security breach, the system could be hacked, but if you have a security breach with AI, the system could hack itself. If the AI is not working properly and there is a security breach, you could even have a scenario where the system will hack itself and provide wrong diagnosis without having a human control it. So as a foundation before going into AI solutions, the IoT deployment we talked about, where security is implemented by design, is the needed foundation before thinking about AI. Thinking about using AI in the context of medical without a proper IoT architecture and a proper security architecture designed as part of this IoT architecture would be very risky. With that said, as you have this kind of proper foundation, then AI can bring lots of things, as I mentioned, can bring new ways of providing diagnostics and analysis, It can also help solving challenges we were talking earlier about confidentiality and privacy, because you could have AI engines that would be able to provide some data models that are similar to real patient data without being actually real patient data. To explain a little bit further, an AI engine can be trained in a safe environment with real patient data. Being in a safe environment, there is no risk of security breach, no risk of privacy breach, because it would use real patient data, but in a kind of a closed box. And once it's trained with enough samples of real patient data, this AI engine could be able to generate thousands of similar data, but this data being not real patient, real people data, you do not have anymore the privacy issue. And so you can have then this engine running in an open environment, and you have the possibility to develop new diagnostics, new interpretation tools with an exceptional reliability thanks to this AI engine, without compromising privacy and confidentiality from patients. And then once you have some kind of assumptions based on what the AI is providing of diagnostics, of reliability, you can then assert these assumptions in front of the real patient data, but you already have 80–90% of the work done by AI on data model that are very similar to real data and no confidentiality or privacy breach.
In conclusion, what are the keys to the success of a medical IoT device?
Well, I would say, to summarize our discussion today, what we can say that the technologies needed to meet with the market challenges, the medical market challenges of confidentiality, privacy, security, and at the same time, the technologies to provide the infrastructure needed for connectivity, data access, cloud access, these technologies, combining both, exist today. And these technologies are the fundamentals, the basis to implement valuable IoT scenarios. Now, the key challenge that remains today for implementing IoT solutions for medical device in the right way is how to put together all these technologies in a proper way. This implies having a good understanding of the market constraints. So what does it mean to deal with security, to deal with privacy, to deal with confidentiality in the context of a medical device? To have a good understanding of the technical requirements. What are the constraints of the device itself in terms of technical need? And to have a good understanding of the innovation potential, because IoT is about disruptive innovation. It's about creating new scenarios. It's about creating new usage. And you cannot do that by just thinking about what my device is doing today and what it could do more. You have to take it with an innovation approach. So to be able to put all these technologies together in a proper way to address these three aspects, market constraints, technical requirements, innovation potential, this requires the combination of skills, the combination of talent between innovation focused on usage and value creation, with talent on system expertise to ensure that whatever comes out of the innovation thinking is implemented with a proper architecture that will encapsulate the solutions, that will encapsulate the technologies to meet the challenge requirement at a global level, at a global view. And therefore, you can then have the right pieces of technologies put together in the right way to address the challenges of the market and the technical requirements, while creating new usage and new value creation through an innovation approach.